Recently, CNN aired a documentary titled Scream Bloody Murder. The CNN program is the subject of today's commentary by Bruce Fine, resident scholar of the Turkish Coalition of America.
The recent showing on CNN News of a Christine Amanpour documentary on genocide was unfortunate in at least one respect. It treated rather glibly the claimed Armenian genocide without any elaboration and a tacit assumption that there was an overwhelming consensus, if not definitive consensus, that it actually happened. These are the things that Christine Amanpour should have examined and should have shaken her conviction that such an important issue, the crime of crimes, should be treated in such a cavalier fashion. First, in the last year alone, there have been 5 major works that have disagreed or disputed with the Armenian genocide characterization of the events of 1915. These are people of high stature from reputable universities, University of Massachusetts. Someone even as esteemed as Bernard Lewis at Princeton University has harshly disputed the Armenian genocide characterization, but there was not even a cameo appearance given to any of these voices. Second, we should know even in our own times, when we understand the wildly different estimates of the casualties and the happenings in Iraq and Afghanistan, that when you move back almost a century ago, when reporting was much more primitive, that even the statistics that are bruited about to demonstrate an alleged genocide are highly questionable. The numbers have risen over the years from the hundreds of thousands into the millions. Third, there are simple facts that leap out for answering. For example, the Ottoman Empire's prosecution of 1,400 of their own civilians and military for abusing Armenians for war crimes during World War I. How is that consistent with any kind of genocide characterization? And perhaps most definitively is this stunning omission. The Prime Minister of Turkey has agreed to accept a final verdict on the genocide issue from an international commission of historians, those who are not biased or prejudiced one way or the other, those who have access to all the relevant archives, and of course the most important ones that remain closed are those of the Armenians, not of the Turks, and then submit that to a candid world and accept the verdict. The Armenians have balked at that, and you would think that Christine Amanpour would know that if their case was so conclusive, why would they have raced away from a judgment which they feel would be certainly in their favor? All in all, we need to be quite careful about use of the word genocide. We do not want to cheapen its employment because it is very important to hold the international community and civilization to a high standard. But the way in which the Armenian genocide claim was treated fell far short of that high standard. CNN should consider presenting the alternative viewpoint that shows the matter is still highly disputed amongst those who have the greatest scholarship and greatest neutrality. Now, I'd like to move to another issue as well. It's a companion issue that shows the way in which the discourse on the Armenian genocide controversy is distorted by prejudices, by an unfair or uneven playing field. Günter Louis has recently published a book that concludes that the evidence of genocide is inconclusive, has brought suit against the Southern Poverty Law Center and one of its editors for defamation. They accused him of 2 things. One, that he was taking money from the Turkish government, which he was concealing, in order to compromise his academic integrity in writing about the Armenian genocide question. And secondly, they accused him of acting as a spokesman of the Turkish government, and that would make him an agent under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, and that's a crime not to register. And of course, he has done no such thing because he is not an agent of the Turkish government. Now, Günter Louis is an improbable person to downgrade or disparage genocide accusations. He escaped from the Holocaust only a few steps ahead of Adolf Hitler. He was there at Kristallnacht, that ugly day in November of 1938 when Jewish stores were destroyed by Nazi thugs. And this is a lawsuit that hopes to restore civility and honesty to the Armenian genocide debate and discourse, something that's essential if we're going to get a judgment that's viewed as legitimate by both sides, that permits reconciliation in lieu of estrangement, that permits 2 peoples who deserve friendly and amicable relations and who coexisted in a very productive way for centuries to come together again after these long years of division and move forward hand in hand. Now, we are very hopeful that the Gunter Louis defamation suit will send a signal to others. We are not out for vengeance. We're not out for money damages. We're out for fair and even-handed examination of this issue of genocide, something that gives fair play to both sides of the equation and opens all archives.
Thank you for joining us on another edition of A New World, Politics, Personalities, and Culture with the Turkish Perspective. I am Lincoln McCurdy with the Turkish Coalition of America, and we look forward to bringing you more news from our nation's capital very soon.